everybody. How you doing? Hi, it's Bruce here, your buddy Uncle Bruce with Stock Markets with Bruce. Welcome to class lesson number 11. How to write, how to use poor man covered call strategies to quit your day job. And I want to go over a whole bunch of stuff with you today about this whole thingy. There's lots to it. And I know a lot of you have been following me on my channel for a while. You've been learning all about how to write options. Some of you are writing options on shares that you have like GameStop or other shares. You've written some options so far on some of the SPACs that we've been following. And now a number of you have started to look into and have started to write what we call poor man covered calls. And a lot of you want to know how this works. And can I really quit my day job? What do I need to be able to do it? What kind of capital do I need? What's the strategy, Bruce, to do this? And we have a lot to discuss there. So I'm excited about this class. I hope you like it. First of all, writing poor man covered calls. It's exactly the same. It's kind of exactly the same as writing a call contract if you own stock. As you should know by now, if you have 100 shares of a particular stock, you can write a call option against it. If you have more than 100 shares, like 200 or 300 or 400, you can write 2 calls, 3 calls, 4 calls. For every 100 shares you have, you can write a call option against it. With poor man covered call trading strategies, what you have to have is you need to have an in-the-money call option that you own in a stock to be able to write a call option against it. So as an example, if we want to talk about, say, Apple, if Apple's trading right now at $170 a share, it's where it closed last night. By the way, today's date's January the 29th, 2022 for the date of this lesson. We closed yesterday at $170. We went up $11. If you own an Apple call that, say, has a lifespan until next April or May or June, just as an example, you could be sitting on a $130 call option that's deep in the money, $40, and you can write an option against that option because your broker is quite comfortable with you writing a short-term call option using the earlier option as the way to deliver stock in case you get exercised, because you have the right to buy 100 shares of Apple in the case of one contract, or 500 shares of Apple in case of 5 contracts. You have the right to buy the shares you need to deliver if you get exercised at a price that's lower than the market itself. So if you pay $30, $40 for a contract on Apple, you can write call options that are good for a couple of days. Let's say they expire this coming Friday, so they'd be good for 5 days, or a week Friday, or the 2 weeks Friday, or so on. And you can collect premiums on the short option that you're writing. Hopefully the time depreciation will work in your favor. And in the meantime, you're long the call on the stock. If the shares happen to keep appreciating in price, the call you own will go up in value because it's deeply in the money, and now it's even further in the money. And over here on the calls that you're writing, if you're writing out of the money calls, short-term out of the money calls, they should shrink as they get closer to expiry. And so the balancing act is you're trying to hold a call that hopefully will rise over the long haul or stay even, and write a call against it that will depreciate as the time eats its value alive. And if you've been writing calls already, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've bought a call option on a speculative buy, you know exactly how badly contracts can depreciate in the last week of their lifetime, the last 2 weeks of their lifetime, to basically zero if they're out of the money. Now, to be able to be self-employed, every one of you is different, and there are no two people alike really anywhere. And so I cannot give you a single strategy situation where I can say to you, oh, well, if you guys can make this much money a month, all your problems are solved, and I'll show you this one strategy for this one amount, and you'll be just fine. It doesn't work that way. A number of you here, some of you are retired. Some of you are desperate to become retired or very close to retirement. Some of you, time-wise is how old you are. You're close to retirement, but you're not close enough money-wise, at least from what you think, to get to be retired, and you have to work longer than you thought you'd have to work. Some of you are very young here. Some of you are in your 20s and 30s, and you're just saying to me, Bruce, I'm not thinking about retiring, but you know what would be nice? I would really love to be self-employed, writing options and bringing in premiums, so I just don't have to have a day job. That would be, really the best way for me. The good news is Poor Man Covered Call Strategies and covered call writing as a whole can give you the same result no matter what your age and what your financial situation is. If you're just looking for an extra, $1,000 or $2,000 a month to kind of help out with bills around the house, you don't have the ability or the want. You don't really want to be a full-time trader. You really don't want to be in front of a computer watching a stock quote all the time. You'd really rather keep your day job. Maybe you're self-employed with your own business, and you just want to add some capital or cash flow to your lifestyle and yet still do your business because you love what it is you do. It's a family operation. You have a lot of relatives that work for you or friends and associates, whatever your situation. If you got a really great career out there, fantastic. And then others of you who are going to say to me, I'd like to try this, Bruce, but boy, I'm not ready to jump all the way in here. Can I put my toe in the water and try this? The answer is yes to all of this. You can try it. You can build up this technique over time as you become more comfortable with it and as you get more experienced with it. And maybe in a month or 2 months, 6 months, a year from now, you may find that, yes, this is for me. I really do want to go full-time doing this. Others might say, nope, it's not for me full-time, but definitely works for me as a side bet on my account, on my portfolio. Thank you very much. I'm happy with what I'm getting out of it, and that's great. All right, so there's a quick, really quick overview. How much money do you need a month to get by on? And I was using in my brain, I was thinking to myself, if I could say to you that the target amount of money you want to make per month to cover your, basic nut is $5,000 a month, I figured I'd use that number. Now, if some of you say, "Oh, I only need $2,500 to get by," or others like you say, "No, I need $8,500 a month," you can, factor the number around what I'm going to talk about in general and go forward from there. But let's just say you need $5,000 a month to walk away from the commitment of a day job, and you might just have a part-time job on the side, just to make a few bucks and have an interaction with human beings and that type of thing. You're working from home anyway. You're going to keep your full-time job, and you're going to add this job to your life. More power to you. All right. Here's the basic breakdown as far as how I do it, how I want to present this to you. A typical month of 30 odd days will generally have 4 odd weeks in it, depending on where the weekends fall into place and, that type of thing. Some months have a Monday holiday, screws up the numbers. But in general, there are about 20 trading days a month in a typical month. We do have 8 to 10 weekend days, depending on when the weekends fall into place. Sometimes we have like a 4.5 week month, and there's more weekend time in there, and others not. So sometimes we have 23 trading days, sometimes we have 20, but I'm just using 20 because it's easy numbers, and that's what I want to stick to, easy numbers. 20 trading days in a month. If you want to make $5,000 a month in income, you got to make $250 a day. There's the number. Simple. $250 a day trading is what you need to bring in. Now, if you have enough money to buy one in-the-money call option on a stock, and you want to live off of that one call option has to make you $250 a day. Okay, I think the odds of that happening are 0. You're not going to get a contract making you $250 a day every day, 5 days in a row. It's not going to happen. But 5, 10, 15, 20 contracts or more, it becomes very feasible very quickly. And the trick of it is now, what is the cost of a deep in the money call option that I can now use as my vehicle to write short-term call options against? And how does this work for me? So it depends on the stock, obviously. The more expensive a stock you're talking about, the more in the money the contract has to be to protect against downside, and that gets more expensive. But the higher the price of a company's shares, the higher the premiums for stock options are, because a stock that trades, for example, say a $20 stock might move 50 cents in a day, where a $200 stock might move $2 in a day. And a $500 stock might move $4 or $5 in a day, up to the volatility, the high to the low, or more. And so the more volatility we have and the more movement we have, contracts will also move along with the stock. And you can probably get a higher premium in dollars and larger depreciation in dollars to max out your return. All right, so I came up with a couple of examples this morning that I thought I'd run by you. And I want to talk about stocks that I talk about all the time on my channels, Stock Markets with Bruce, every morning at 8:30 Eastern in the morning and at 3 in the afternoon. So I'm not going to bring up stocks that you don't follow or don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm going to talk about stocks that I follow. All right. So first of all, I figured I would mention Apple, because Apple is the number one company in the world for size. The liquidity on contracts is phenomenal. It's easy in, easy out. Spreads aren't so bad between buy price and sell price, bid and ask. You don't have to worry too much about stink bids and stink offers as far as, oh, gee, Bruce, you're telling me to sell an option and the bid ask is $3 to $4. Geez, the thing hardly trades, and now I got to offer it at $3.95 on a stink offer. I might not get out. With Apple contracts, the spread between the buyer and the seller is much less than $1 a contract almost all the time. So easier, more liquidity, easier in, easier out, and much more fair to you, because if you need to get out of a contract by buying it back, or you want to write a new one, you can easily hit the bid and not lose much on the way of the spread. I don't want to have a scenario where you guys have to lose $1 between bidder and ask every time you want to do a trade, because that can be upwards of $100 a contract per side, and that's not good. You don't want to lose 100 on the buy side and 100 on the sell side because of the spread. Okay. So Apple, all right. The stock closed at about $170 last night. It moved up $11 yesterday. The earnings came out the night before last, blew the doors off the earnings. The company just is delivering on all metrics. Everyone's happy. This was responsible for a major move in the Dow yesterday, Friday. It gave the market confidence to go, you know what, we should be buying stocks like Apple, who are delivering the goods, the money. Even though the shares were at 35 times earnings, the PE multiple 2 weeks ago, the kind of money they reported in the last quarter, that PE multiple now is dropping because we have more earnings per share to calculate what the price multiple is really at. And the interest rate rises that we're expecting means that stocks will have to trade at a lower PE multiple to compete with bonds and other interest-bearing securities. Apple has no problem competing with a treasury note. The kind of return these guys are doing on their capital is phenomenal. They're hitting on all cylinders. People are confident to buy the stock. So a $170 contract, you can buy an in-the-money contract on Apple around $130, $140 strike price. And the premium on that is very reasonable. And what I mean by this is, I've been talking on the air about the 90-10% rule. So let me write this down. The 90-10% rule is something that I want you to understand when it comes to acquiring an in-the-money contract. So let me just do this. 90%, 10% rule. And what I mean by that is, if Apple shares, symbol is AAPL, the shares are trading at $170 a piece. All right. If you're going to buy a $140 contract or a $130 contract, which means it's in the money, and today's date, by the way, January the 29th, 2022, you're going to buy a June, I believe it's a 2022 contract, a 140 extra strike price. You can probably get this contract for about $32 to $34 in that kind of neighborhood, closer to 32 actually. And this is not a bad deal because the value of the contract is $30. It's $30 in the money because the stock is trading at 170-ish. And if you pay only $31 to $32 for it, you're paying a time premium of $2 or less. All right, $2 or less. And this works for me. If you're paying $32 for a contract with a $30 book value, you're paying 90% of the price of book and only about a tenth of the price as time. In this case, it's actually less than 10%. You can pay $33 for this contract, and it's $3 time and $30 book, 90-10 split. Now, the reason I tell you to do this as the first move on any in-the-money call option you want to buy is because this contract, if the stock doesn't change in price at all between now and June, and this being January, we're talking about 6 odd months, 7 months. If the stock stays at around 170, it fluctuates, but in July or June, it's 170. This contract will have a real value at the last minute of its trading life of $30 a contract. So you buy it today for, say, $32 or $33, you're going to lose $2 or $3 on this contract. And what are you losing? The time value, because over 6 months, this contract will shrink down to just its book value. All right. If the shares close at 165, then this contract is worth $25. If the shares close at 175 in June, the contract is worth $35 book value. Follow me on that, I hope. So this is why I'm pushing you guys as hard as I can every day to buy deep in the money contracts that have a 90-10 or better ratio book value to time value. Now, the other thing I've done here is I've mentioned a $140 strike price right off the bat rather than a $150 or a $160, because I know you can buy a $160 call option for less than $30-something and write calls against it. Some of you are going, hey, Bruce, I don't have $3,000 here. But the problem is that you're not going to get a $10 in the money contract for $11. You're going to get a $10 in the money contract for $15 or $16 or $17. And there's a whole lot of time value on top of that. In other words, 60% of the contract is book value, 40% is time value, and you're going to lose that in a shorter period of time. You don't want to do that. But I've talked to you here about a $30 spread between the strike price of the option and the price on the open market. Because as you have noticed in the last couple of weeks, how markets have been going down, 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 and down, and down since December, we have stocks out there that can lose 15, 20, 30% in not too long a time frame, depending on how risky the stocks are. Now, we know like GameStop from 170 to 200 a share down to 85, 90 a share. That's a 50% haircut. This contract, this stock, Apple, did not drop 50% from its high to its low. But the Apple shares can move down $15, $20 in a couple of weeks. And you want to have protection against the down dip so that your contract that you're using to write poor man covered calls is always in the money. Very important safety tip. Jen, do we have questions?
One more time on where the 90% is and the 10%. They're confused about the 10% left over.
All right. Just to reiterate, if the stock is trading at $170 a share, which is kind of where it closed on Friday, a $140 call option, strike price of $140, that lives until June of this year. It's acquirable. You can buy it for between roughly $32, $33, $32, $34 a share, contract. In other words, multiply this by 100 shares. All right. And we know that these contracts are $3,200 to $3,400. That's the cost of this contract, depending on what price you pay, $32 to $34 a contract. That's how much the contract is. Now, of the $3,200 or the $3,400, how much of that contract value is actually real book value? And to determine that, you look at the strike price, where this is the strike price of the contract, 140. The trading price of the shares is 170. There's an actual book value of $30 a share, BV. The book value is $30 on the contract. The contract is worth $3,000 in real value, where it's trading at between $3,200 and $3,400 on the open market here. There is a premium over the book value of between $200 and $400. The trick here is to buy this contract, if you can, around $33 or less per the contract. So at the end of the day, when you look at the what it costs you to buy this contract, you're paying $3,300 for a contract worth $3,000. So you're paying $300 more than the $3,000 book value the contract has. And when I talk about 90%, 10%, I want 90% of the price that you're buying the call for to be book value. And I only want you to maximum 10% of the price of the contract to be time value. Because we have from January until June until this contract expires. And so if it has a $3,000 book value and it has a $300 time value, there's your $3,300 acquisition price to get this contract. All right. Well, 90% of this 3,300 is $3,000, and 10% of this is about 300. I'm within a 0.5%, quarter of a percentage point, give or take. But I'm trying to get you to adhere to a 90-10 ratio. I want almost all the money you're using to buy this contract to be book value, not time value, because time value will evaporate as each month goes by. We have 6 months to go for this contract to disappear from now until June. This $3 time value will shrink away about 50 cents every month, or 50 cents every month. Yeah, every month, 50 cents of this time value will shrink away. So in 3 months from today, if the stock is still $170 a share on a Friday afternoon, this June contract, with now only 3 months left to live, will be trading at probably $3,150. So it will hold, or it will have lost $1.50 of time value, of the $3 of time value it had when we started off with. Wait, that's my erasers, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
They say they fall.
All right, so we got that. Okay, now, again, the reason I'm doing this is I don't want you to pay $3,300 for a contract that's only worth $2,000 book value, because you're going to lose $13 of time value now, and that means on a per month basis, that's $2 a month that just evaporates. And the writer of this contract is laughing at you, going, hey, this is great. You just gave me $3,300 on a contract that's only worth $2,000. And in the next 6 months, I get $1,300. Get to keep the $1,300 time value if nothing happens to the stock. Thank you very much. Well, you're not interested in making someone else money writing options. You want to be the person making money writing options. And so to buy this contract, you want to get it as little as possible with respect to how much time value you're paying for this thing. All right. So I'm sure that's making sense now. Okay. So we've talked about acquiring the call contract. All right. We have our hands on an Apple $170 contract. So we're talking about Apple here. Stock is trading at 170. All right, we bought a June, for this example, a June 17, $140 strike price, and we're paying about $33 a contract, or $3,300. Okay.
I want you to tell them, when you look at that, how do you do that calculation in your head? What are you looking at?
To do the 90-10?
Yeah.
All right. I know that this contract has a $30 book value. And I know I can buy this thing for $3,300. And if I take 1/10 of the $3,300, that's $330. I take that off of the price here. I have less than $3,000 cost to get a $30 book value contract. I'm better than 90-10. Okay, 10% of the value of the contract or less should be time value. So if I took 10% off the top of that, that's $330. Deduct that from $3,300, that's just under $3,000. I know this contract has a $3,000 book value because the stock's 170 right now. The contract is exercisable at 140. I have a $30 book value contract.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Okay, good.
Now, I'm ready now to write contracts, okay? I'm ready to go ahead and write short-term contracts against Apple to enjoy and try to get my hands on what George Costanza dreads, shrinkage. We want shrinkage. I was in the pool. All right. So if we can write a call option that either expires this coming Friday, which is February the 4th, or February the 11th, or February the 18th, the next 1 or 2 or 3 Fridays, I can write whatever contract I want, but I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking of something short term that's going to depreciate and is out of the money right now and give me some dough. Well, there's a couple of ways to play the strategy. You could just say, all right, the next contract to expire is February the 4th. That's coming up next Friday. And I could sell the stocks at 170. I could sell a 170 contract, or I could sell a 172.50 contract, or I could sell a 175 contract. These are the strike prices for February the 4th. Now, if I write the 170, I'll get the most for it because it's at the money. If I write a contract that is a 172.50, I won't get as much, but then I have 250 cushion here. Or if I write the 175, I'm even further away from the actual market, and I'll get even a lower premium. All right. So you can play this game all you want, or you can go further out and say, you know what, Bruce? I think what I want to do is I don't want to go the 11th. I don't even want to go to the 18th. I want to go to February the 25th, towards the end of the month. I'm going to write the Feb 25, and if I write the 175, and by the way, I've looked this up already. I think I can get $360 a contract, or $3.60 a contract for this Feb 25. Now, why would you write that contract? Well, the thinking is that if you hold it until then, and the stock doesn't go over 175, you keep all this money. You keep all 360. It's a $360 return to you for a $3,300 investment to buy this contract, to buy that in the money contract. You're clearing 360 in how many weeks? 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. But we know that's not how this works. You guys who watch me all the time on the air, and who watch all the players who are buying and selling call options all the time, writing call options all the time, some of which are right here, some of you are right there. You know that, hey, Bruce, the stock went up $10 yesterday. Hey, man, it could go up to 172 on Monday, but by Tuesday it could go back to 168. I mean, this thing came from 160 just the other day. Could have a profit here. And that's true. And so if you do write the contract at $360 and the stock backs off on Monday afternoon or Tuesday or Wednesday down to 166, 168, something like that, even for just a few minutes, this contract won't stay at $360. It'll back off. And if it does back off to say $2.50, I can buy that contract back for $250 and I can make a profit of $110 in like a day, 1 day, 2 or 3. I mean, I can make this money quickly. I don't have to wait until, the 25th of February. These contracts move with the stock, right? And if the stock drops, this is a 175 contract. This thing's out of the money now, $5 a share. I mean, the stock's at 170. Stock was down to 165. This thing's out of the money, $10. Of course, it's going to go down from 360. Now, some of you are greedy, and you're going to go, I'm only going to buy it back at a buck. And you'll see it trading at $2. You go, it's not going down to $1. I want to go down to $1. Well, you're forgetting that it's got 3-4 weeks of life left in it. It's only been a day or two, but it might give you a quick dollar right away. When I told you that you need $5,000 a month to live on, if you write one of these contracts, and you can buy it back in a day or two and clear $110. Congratulations. That's the good news. The bad news is you still need to make $4,890 more dollars. Now, if you got 10 of these, all right, you spent $33,000 to buy these. You've made $1,100 in a couple of days. Well, against $5,000, yeah, you're down to $3,900. Needed now. You're well on your way. Very well done. So that's one strategy there. As I said earlier, the strategy can also be that you can just write February the 4th contracts against any of these prices. You'll get different varying amounts, and you can play the in and out game like we're watching here on my channel, where people are telling me, I just wrote a GameStop $100 contract. Stock just dropped $4. I bought that contract back for $3 less. It dies this coming Friday. I just made a quick $300 on a single contract. You can play that game all you want, but you are obviously either long the stock or you're long an in the money contract, but not on GameStop, you're not going to get a 90-10 split on a GameStop contract because GameStop is so volatile that you're going to pay like 50% book value and 50% time value, and that's a risky game to play. Where with Apple, much more conservative, you can play the 90-10 game buying this in the money call. Now, I want to go over a number of other factors here. You're saying to me, Bruce, you told me there's 20 days in the month to trade the stock, the contracts. If I make this money in 2 days, I got $110 in 2 days. If I can do this 10 times a month, that's 20 days. 10 times a month, I make $1,100 in a month on a single contract, just turning it over. Hey man, if I have 5 of them, are you telling me if I have 5 contracts, I could make $5,000 a month? Because if I flip 5 times, $110 per contract, that's $550 on just this kind of a swing here. If I can do this 10 times, $500 a shot, there's my $5,000. I'm self-employed for like $15,000, $16,000. That's all I need to become a self-employed individual. Theoretically, you're right. In reality, not easily done, but yeah, it's theoretically possible. Let's say, however, you did have more money. Okay, most of you do. You have $33,000. You can buy 10 of these contracts, and now you're making 10 times the return. You have enough money to buy 20 contracts. All of a sudden, you're sitting there going, "Hey, I need to make $5,000 a month, and I got 20 contracts. Each contract has to make me $250 in the month. That's all I need from each contract, $2.50 a contract, $250 times 20 contracts. Now, whether I flip them once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, if I can flip my 20 contracts over every week, I'm actually trading 80 contracts a month because I'm writing 20, buying 20 back, writing 20, buying 20 back. If I can do this 4 times a month and I need to clear $5,000, I need to take 80 contracts divided into $5,000. How much money does each contract have to make me? Well, it's not a lot of money. If each contract makes you $60 per month, 60 cents a contract per flip, that's $4,800, 6 times 8. So the more you have, the easier it actually gets in a way. You don't need as much performance per option to give you the return, all right? Something else I wanted to tell you about, and that is this idea of example between one person and another, and I wanted to kind of show you what's going to happen here. But first of all, let me do a quick little erase and show you something else. All right, we have here a situation where we did buy this contract. We bought this contract right here. We paid $3,300 to have a June 17 $140 call option. All right. I have good news and bad news. All right. Let's say the stock doesn't do anything for a whole week. It just sits at 170. It goes from 168 to 172 and closes at 170 next Friday. The good news for that is if you wrote 170s, 172.50s, or 175s, any of these contracts for next Friday expiry, they're all worthless because at $170 a share, none of these contracts have any value whatsoever. So the stock's at 170. Okay, so whatever premium you get to keep. Fantastic. If you got $1 here and you got $2 here and you got $2.50 here, I don't know. These numbers are different. You can look them up. It's all your money. Great. Okay. If the shares go down to 168 next Friday, or 165 next Friday, or 160 next Friday, where they came from the other day, these are also worthless, right? So 170 or less, you keep all the premium no matter what option you write, no matter how long it is and everything else. But by next Friday expiry, the 4th of February, these contracts will be worthless if the stock stays at 170 or less. Okay. Well, let's say the stock has another banner week and it goes up to 180. Bruce, oh my God, I wrote contracts and they're in the money. I'm going to lose. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me, Bruce? The stock is going to $180 a share. You're killing me, Smalls. What am I going to do? Well, here's the good news. Okay, I got good news for you kids. Number one, you happen to own a contract. You happen to own this contract right here. You remember this contract you bought? The $140 call option for June of this coming year? You paid $3,300 for that sucker because it was $30 in the money and it had $3 of book value. A week later, the stock goes to $180. All right? Well, that contract is now worth, are you ready for it? It's worth $4,300. Well, how can that be? How can that contract be worth $4,300? Simple. It's $40 in the money instead of $30 in the money. The stock's at 180 now, and it still has book value. You only lost a week out of the 6 months. It's still going to be around $43 for that contract. So in effect, you've gained $1,000 in book value on that contract. You're up $1,000 on that contract. Okay. Now, here's the bad news. You wrote one of these contracts right over here. You wrote one of these guys, all right? Most likely, you're writing contracts $5 out of the money because you're looking to stay ahead of the stock. You want to write out of the money contracts against these in the money contracts. And you may have written a 175 and maybe you brought in 250 or $2 or whatever it was. If you wrote, as I was saying earlier in that last example, if you wrote instead of the February 4th contract, you wrote that February 28th contract, was it the 11th, 25th, the February 25 contract, that would have been a 360 contract over here if you'd written that one. All right. Either case, if this one is around 250 and this one's around 360 or so, they're both in the money, because the stock is $180. All right. These are 175 contracts. The stock's 180. So the bad news is you're losing money on this contract you wrote. You're losing money. But the good news is you're not losing $1,000. Like what you made on this contract, you didn't lose $1,000 this week. Because here's the dealio: at $180 a contract, this 175 is $500 in the money. In the money. No matter whether it expires on the 4th of February or it expires on the 25th of February, it's in the money right now because the stock's trading at $180 a share. Okay. But you sold it already for a price, remember? And a couple things to remember as well. If it's a February 4th contract that dies next Friday, there's no time value, because it dies today, the 4th of February. But if it does have 3 more weeks to go or 2 more weeks to go, it has premium to it, has time value to it. This contract will be with either $500 to probably, $750 or so will be the value of this contract, depending on how much time value is on top of it, how much time is left on it. But you sold it for between $250 and $360 when you wrote it in the first place. So you already received, let's say you received $250 for this one and $250 for this one. All right. You're down $250. That's how much you're down on this one. On this one, you're down $500. I hope this is making sense to you guys. So you wrote this one for $250. It's now worth $500. You're down $250. You wrote this one for $250, but it's now trading at $750 because it has a few more weeks left to live. It's $5 in the money plus time premium. You're down $500 on this contract. Good news is you're up $1,000 on this contract. Your long call that you bought to be able to write this one in the first place. Here's the really good news. This is the breaking news. This is a strategies thing for you guys to understand. If you owned the shares of Apple, if you had you owned 100 shares in your account, and you had written this contract right here, this 175 contract, whether you wrote it for February 4th or all the way up to February 25th, the good news is your stock is $1,000 more valuable because it went up $10 a share to $180. That's true. And the bad news is that the call you wrote is now worth more money than what you sold it for, and you're down on that contract. You're either down $250 up to $500 on that contract because it's more valuable too. And if you buy the call back, if at the end of this February the 4th, you buy this thing back, you will lose $250 on the call, but you made $1,000 on your stock, but in your account, you're $250 cash poorer because you're not selling your stock. You still own your stock. You're never selling your stock. You're always going to hold the stock, and you're going to want to write another contract going forward. And what are you going to do? You're going to think about a rollover. You're thinking about buying back this contract for $500 and then writing a new one, good for a week or two or three further out at a higher strike price to try to make back this loss of $250. And on this one here, same thing. You can either buy it back early and roll it over, or wait until the end of the contract's life, a couple more weeks out, and then decide what to do with this contract. If the stock comes back down, this contract will come back down, fine. But if the stock stays up, then you're still upside down on this contract. You have to buy it back at a loss, and then you can roll it forward. But look at this story over here. If you had this contract, like I said, this 170, when the stock was 170, you bought the $140 call option, and you paid $3,300 for that guy. That contract is worth $4,300 now because the stock is worth $180. Okay, you're up $1,000 on this contract. There it is right there. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to sell this contract. That's what you're going to do, because here's the strategy. You lost $250 on this contract, or you lost up to $500 on this contract. Right? You're going to buy them back. You're going to buy them back. Now, you don't have to buy them back until expiry day, but you can pick the timing on this anytime you want. But in your mind, you're saying to yourself, you know what? If I buy this contract for $3,300 and the stock goes up $10 again, and it's now worth $4,300 at $180, you know what I'm going to do? I don't care what these options are doing. I don't give a crap. I'm going to buy them back because I'm losing less money here than I'm making here. I want to lock in a gain because I'm trading contracts to make a living now, and I need $5,000 a month to pay my bills. I need cash, not book value. I need money. So you blow off this contract. You buy this one back and you sell this one. And what's the net effect? You made $1,000 on this contract. You lost $250 writing this contract, and you're plus $750. On this example here, if you do this right at this moment in time, with still a couple of weeks to go, even though this contract has time left on it, you sell this contract, make your $1,000 profit, buy this call back, and guarantee a loss on this deal, $500, because you have to buy it back for $750. You only got $250 for it. You lose $500. You still made $500 profit on this transaction. You're flat now. Your account has no long in the money calls, has no calls against it. It's got 500 more cash in it, or 750 more cash in it, depending on which of these contracts you've written. What do you do now? Well, the stock went up to 180. What are you going to do now? You're going to buy a new in-the-money contract. Well, which one of those? Which one are you going to buy instead of a $140 in-the-money contract? You're going to buy a $150 in-the-money contract because the stock went up $10. You used to be 30 in the money. When the stock was 170, you bought the 140 call. Now you're going to buy the 150 call because the stock's at 180. You're still $30 to the good. But you've locked in your profit on the trade of this contract right here from $3,300 to $4,300. You locked it in. You took the $1,000. You're now spending $3,300 on your new contract. And guess what you're going to do now? You're going to write a call against your contract for 1, 2, 3 weeks out. And instead of the one you're going to write, instead of being a 170 or 172.50 or 175, it's going to be a 180, 182.50 or a 185. Everything's up $10. You're now going to write contracts up here. And if the shares back off $5 to 175 from 180, these contracts drop in value and you'll buy them back for a gain and you'll rewrite new contracts and keep writing until the stock goes back up again. Stock wants to go to 190, up another $10? Great. You're going to sell the $3,300 contract you bought the second time for $4,300 again, lock in another $1,000 gain. You're going to buy these calls back and roll into new calls all over again. You're going to make money every time. You're selling out and cashing in when the opportunity comes your way because your account needs to give you cash. If you're a shareholder, you're never selling your stock. If it goes to 180, you don't sell the stock. You buy the call back. You lost money on it. You write a new call, hoping to make money on it. But darn it, the stock went up another $10. You bought the call back again. You're writing a call again against it. If you're doing rollovers and you're trying to stay ahead of the cost of these contracts, You might be writing 190s, then you're writing 210s, you might be writing 230s, they might be 4 months out, 5 months out, trying to get the big fat premium to stay ahead of the cost of the call that you're buying back. The good news is your stock is up 20 bucks a share, but the bad news is you now have all this time that you've given up for these calls to depreciate out. Those of you who've done rollovers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In some cases, you've had to write calls 3, 6, 8 months out into the future. And you've been waiting for the stock to back off so that those calls will back down again so that you can get out of those way out calls that you had to rewrite to start buying those back and write shorter term calls. Here, you are forcing yourself to liquidate out when the stock gives it to you. And you're taking the money and you're building a cash balance in your account rather than a stock balance in your account or a book value balance. You are cashing in the book value. You're taking the cash because you need $5,000 a month cash flow to pay your bills. Now, this is just with one call, obviously. If we're talking 10, right? You bought 10 of these for $3,300. They're now worth $4,300 each. You made $1,000 on each contract. That's a $10,000 gain here. And a $2,500 loss or a $5,000 loss against the $10,000 gained. So you either have $7,500 in cash or $5,000 in cash, and you're now writing a new call. Stock goes up another 10 bucks to 190. You made another $10,000 on the next batch of 10 calls you bought deep in the money. And you've lost again $2,500 to $5,000 on those. You don't care. You're up $5,000 to $7,500 on the second go around. You're trying to make $5,000 a month to pay your bills. Question.
Would the various trading platforms allow you to sell your original contract before the short-term contract, or do you have to sell the short-term first?
Depends on the platform, but I think you can do it. I think you have to, you might have to theoretically buy your new call and then sell the old one. So, for example, if your call went up to $4,300 in this example, and you're going to buy a $10 further out call as the new deep in the money call, you'll cough up $3,300 to buy it, and then sell this one off. And now the new one is the in the money call to hold your position. Right? It's just a rollover in that sense. But I think in some of the platforms, you might be able to do the double rollover without any problem whatsoever, where you're literally buying back one, selling off the other, and then you're taking a new position to buy the new deep in the money and sell the new one against it, which you can do at that same time if you want, or you can wait. You may find that the stock during the day, ran up 10 bucks, and you want to offload this contract that's up $1,000. You want to lock that in now, but the other one, has also done this on to you. You may be able to do the rollover on this without having to do the rollover on this. And you can carry this one longer with locked in the 1,000 over here. It all depends on the firm.
Okay, so Nacho wants to know, pardon me, if a contract you buy expires in the money on Friday, you don't have to buy the stock per that contract, or you sell it before it expires in the money.
Yeah. So if you wrote a call, you wrote a 175 and now it's in the money because the stock went to 180, you got to buy this baby back before it expires. So yes, because you'll be exercised. You don't want to be exercised. So you're going to buy the call back either on the Thursday or the Wednesday or the Friday itself. You don't have to wait till the last day to do any of this. Yesterday was a quirky day for Apple because it went up 10 bucks a share, 11 bucks a share on the Friday. This could have happened on a Tuesday for Apple, for all we know. Apple could have gone up 11 bucks on Tuesday from 169 or 159 to 170, screwing up all these numbers on all these contracts. But it doesn't matter to you because what you're after is capital gain, cash in your bank account, your brokerage account. And if this $3,300 is now worth $4,300 on a Tuesday, you're not waiting until Friday to make this move. You're selling this contract now. You're buying back this contract now, and you're turning right around, and you're buying a new $3,300 contract with probably a 180 strike price against it instead of a 170, and you're now going, or it was 150 instead of a 140 because this is both of these going up 10, and now you're going to write new calls that are probably 185s right away. So within 15 minutes, you've done the entire switch over. And in 15 minutes, your account is more valuable to the tune of either $750 here or $500 here per contract. So if you've done two contracts, you're doing two at a time, you're up 1,500 or 1,000. If you're doing 10 at a time, you're at 7,500 or $5,000. You're not waiting till Friday to do this move. You're making this move now. Whereas if you're a shareholder, you're locked in because you're sitting there going, well, I can't sell my stock because then I can't write any more options. I've got these shares went up $10 each, and that's great. But Apple used to be at one time, it got up to 184, and it might go back up there. I don't want to sell Apple at 180. I love my Apple. So you're only sitting there going, gosh darn it, my option is going up that I wrote against this thing, and now I've got to take a look at a rollover, but I want to wait until Friday because I want that time premium to shrink as much as possible before I have to make a move on a rollover if that's what you're going to do. But there's no additional cash in your account, because the only way you can get more cash in your account on the scenario where you own the stock is if you can sell a new contract for a higher value than what it costs you to buy the older contract back on the rollover. So at the end of the night, the stock went up during the day, whatever, and you get exercise because the call you wrote is in the money now. The brokerage firm will automatically have you buy 100 shares of stock to deliver. You're going to have to exercise your deep in the money call, and the shares will be delivered for the money that you're getting for the call. And so if you wrote 175s and you have 140s, the firm will make you buy the stock at $140, $14,000 for one contract, but you're going to get 17,000 for the one you've 17,500 for the one you've written because you wrote a 175. Does that make sense? So the premium you got is yours. You keep the premium, but now you're buying stock and you're selling stock, and you're $3,000 richer in cash. So now you got cash sitting in your account the next morning versus contracts. And now what you're going to do is you're going to go shopping for a new contract, and then you're going to write a new contract against it. If you bought the contract for $3,300, the first one, and now you're getting, it was a $140 call that you bought against the 170 stock right up here. See that? You paid $3,300 for the call. You're going to lose $300 on that call because you're getting it $14,000 for the $17,000 price. Makes sense? Let's see if I get this in my brain here. You're written a 175, so you have to deliver stock for 175, but you can get it for 140. All right, so there's a $3,500 difference there for what you're going to get, $175 a share, versus what you're going to pay, $140 a share. But you paid a $300 premium to buy the one contract, the deep in the money call, and then you got paid a premium on the other side. So you don't mind getting exercised. You actually make money on it. It's just everything closes out now automatically. And now you're sitting on there with cash, and you're looking to spend $3,300 or so on your next deep in the money call to then write your next contract. If I have 100 shares and I write a call for, say, $250, and the stock stays below the exercise price on that last day, that Friday that the option expires on, that contract will be worth zero money. It'll be worthless. It won't be exercised. It will die. You keep all the premium you got for it. So if you wrote one for $250, you keep the $250. If you wrote 10 of them, you receive $2,500. You keep all $2,500. You need to make $5,000 a month. And in 2 weeks' time, you had a contract die from $250 to zero, and you did 10 of those. You've made $2,500 in 2 weeks. And now you need to make $2,500 more in the next 2 weeks to get your $5,000 return to pay your bills. And so what are you doing? Monday morning, you're writing new calls. Of course, you're going to write calls against your stock. If you have 100 shares, you can write one call. If you have 1,000 shares, you can write 10 calls. If you've got in-the-money contracts, so you have one in-the-money contract, you can write one call. If you have 10 in-the-money contracts, you can write 10 calls. All right. Now, here's a direct comparison between one example and another. I wanted to show this off to you to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about, leverage and everything else. The stock closed at 170. This is just all about Apple today, okay? Now, if you own 100 shares, you want to buy 100 shares to play the option writing game, you need to spend $17,000. And that'll get you 100 shares at $170, all right? If you want to you have 17,000, but you don't want to do the stock game. You want to write poor man covered calls, and you've got $17,000. You can buy. Here's the poor man covered call strategy. That's the share strategy there. You for 17 grand, I think you can buy 5 times $3,300 contracts equals $16,500. You own 100 shares of stock in Apple. It costs you $17,000 if you want to buy it right now. Or you can take the 17 grand, instead of using $17,000 to buy stock, you use the 17,000 to buy 5 call options at $3,300 each for a total of $16,500. I'm going to call that kind of the same amount of money. All right. So for 17 grand, you got 100 shares, or for 16.5, you got 5 in the money contracts. All right. Over here, you can write one option. You can write one call option. And this call option can be good for a week, a month, whatever you want it to be. Over here, you can write 5 call options, because you have 5 contracts here. So you can write 5 calls against these 5 here. Okay, if this contract, if you're writing a contract here for $2.50, you're bringing in $250. Okay? Doesn't matter how long the contract is good for, doesn't matter what the strike price is, you're writing a call for $250. If you write the same call over against these guys, you're doing 5 times $250, and that means you're bringing in $1,250 in cash. You buy this call back on a bit of a dip on the market. The market dips a little bit, like a couple of bucks to 168 or something, 167 or something, and it's this Friday's contract. You can buy this back for $150, $150. You make a profit of $100, and you're happy.
About $100.
About $100. This one here, same thing. You buy this one back for $150. This same person, this other person here, buys these back. They're spending $750 to get these back, and they make a profit of $500. So the option holder is making a profit of $100. The poor man covered call player is making a profit on $500 on the same contract for the same exact profit. Same move, everything, nothing's different, except that this guy makes 100 and this guy makes 500. There's the difference. All right, now let's take another turn. Instead of the stock going down, stock, like I said, goes up. Okay, so it goes up to 180 in like 3 days. The stock just does not stop. Apple just keeps on going. We're completely misreading it. The street is dying to buy this stock. This contract will go up in value because you sold it for $250. This might, like I said earlier, this might become a $500 contract now. And the guy who wrote this got $250 when he wrote it. He buys it back. He loses $250 because he's scared, going, "Oh, I'm going to buy it back. I don't want this to get away from me. My stock is up. I'm up 1,000 on my shares because they went from 170 to 180. So I made 1,000 on my stock over here, but I lost 250 on this trade, 250. So I have a $750 profit. Okay, at least I'm still up $750, and the stock's at 180, and I'll write new contracts. Okay, great. This guy over here is going, "Oh shoot, look at that! Those contracts went up. They went from 250 to 500 a piece, and I wrote 5 of them for $1,250. Now I got to buy them back. The cost to buy these things back is double. It's going to run me $2,500 to buy them back. If I've got that right."
5.5 is 2,500.
Yeah, because it's the same math here, right? So I pay $250, and oh yeah, here we go. Just hang on a second, kids. I'm gonna do it this way. So the contracts are now trading just like over here. They're trading at 500 each. They're worth $2,500. But I got $1,250 when I wrote them, so I'm going to lose $1,250 on these contracts. So he's a loser of $1,250. He's a loser of $250, right? Except for one thing. His stock is worth 1,000 more over here because they went up $10 a share. You got that. These contracts, they're worth 4,300 each. They're 1,000 more valuable too. So 4,300 from 3,300, that's 1,000 per contract. He's got how many contracts? 5 contracts. He's up $5,000 on these contracts, and he lost 1,250 on these contracts. He's ahead 3,750. So this guy is up 750. This guy's up 3,750. And this poor man covered call person is going to turn around now and buy, since they sold off, they bought back these calls, they sold off these calls, they cashed in 3,750 additional money. What are they going to do? They're going to buy new calls for 3,300 each, but they're going to be a $10 higher strike price and write calls against those. This person here is going to keep the shares, never sold them, and is going to write a new covered call against these shares again, and hope that they make the $250 premium on the next flip, or it goes down a little bit, they make another flip. This guy too, hey, look, if I only make $150 a contract, but I got 5 of them, I mean $750. Okay, stock didn't do much, I mean $750. But if the stock takes off, I'm cashing in these contracts and rolling them over on both sides. I'm rolling over these, and I'm rolling over the ones I'm writing, and I'm pocketing $3,750 in my account on 5 contract. You're trying to make $5,000 a month here to make a living. What if you had 20 of these? You had 2,000 shares. That's $340,000 in stock. 20 of these, 66,000. So there you go. There's leverage.
We have a foundational question.
Okay.
I want you to tell what the difference is between selling a contract and buying a contract, and how do you actually do that on the different trading platforms? How this is an absolute newbie.
Okay.
How do you get your toes wet?
When you have for a bunch of you here, for some of you here, and those of you who are watching this lesson now on my website, most of you who are watching this lesson are watching the website's version of this lesson. Getting into this poor man covered call thing, you can do this with very little money, and you can put your toe in the water and try it without risking a whole bunch of stuff. For example, you could put in $3,300 and buy one of these kinds of contracts here. If you want to play Cisco, the stock's a $55 to $60 stock. You can buy Cisco contracts that are in the money for like $1,100, $1,200. So one Cisco contract will be $1,100, $1,200. You will not make a $10 return on a Cisco contract in 2 or 3 days. Like Apple went up $10 yesterday, and that's an anomaly. That's not a normal thing either. But Cisco, if it goes up a couple of bucks, that's a really good day because it's a $55 stock. It's not a $170 stock, right? But for like $1,100, $1,200, you can buy one in the money contract, deep in the money contract for Cisco, and then write one call option against it. You might be writing a call option for like $1.50 and buying it back for 80 cents and making a $70 profit over a week, but it's all relative. You multiply that 1,100 times 3 to equal this, and there's a $210 profit for 3 contracts or one of these contracts. It's all relative.
Your platform will tell you if you are buying or selling.
Yeah.
Am I getting money or am I paying money?
That's right.
That's
the ultimate.
That's your basic.
When you're on your trading platform, whether it's on your telephone or on your laptop or on your tablet, when you're trying to buy a contract for the very first time, like an in-the-money call to do poor man covered call writing, or just to speculate on the upside of a stock, for example, you want to buy a call. The order that you're putting in is buy to open. So I'm buying one call to open, and then whatever the price is and the strike price is. If you're writing it, it's called sell to open. So I'm selling to open a transaction. It's an open sell. You're creating a contract by opening up a new contract. When you're closing out the deal, if you went long and bought a call, now you want to sell a call, you're doing a sell to close. But if you wrote a call, which was sell to open, now you want to close that out, it's buy to close. So it's either buy to open, buy to close, sell to open, sell to close. That's how you know. And in your account,
at the end of the day, you're flat.
At the end of the day, if you buy a call, you are spending money to buy a call, you will pay for it. And when you sell a call, you will get money, depending on what it's worth, for it. Now, if you're selling it first and buying it later, which is what option writers are doing, they're selling a call today to buy the call back later today or tomorrow or next week or next month. So they're hoping to get more in today and pay less later to get it back. In the option business, or in the stock business, we call that shorting a stock. You short a stock at $100 a share to buy it back at $90 a share, and the difference is yours, $10. With a contract, you're selling a contract for $100, hoping to buy it back for $90. You're making a $10 profit on what you got for it versus what you had to pay to get it back. That's basic option 101. That's lesson 1, 2, or 3 on this in this series, and that's where you want to start if you're brand new at this. Most people who play the stock market only buy and sell stock. Then a certain percentage of those folks also buy and sell options. And then a smaller percentage of those people actually write options. And that's where we are. We are here in a world of maybe 2% of all the market players, maybe 5% of all the market players who actually write options. Now, to buy a call and then write a call against it, you're down to the 1%ers. There's very few others who do this as a specialty. And I'm trying to get you now into something that is is done, but not by zillions of the market players, a small number of them. But it can be very lucrative for you. And this last example I was talking to you about here is what I'm trying to drive home to you is I keep coming back to trying to make $5,000 a month if you want to be self-employed, or $10,000 or $20,000 or $6,000 or $2,000, whatever your number is. But I'm using $5,000. And if you're a shareholder, you have to put up 17 grand to buy 100 Apple. That's the price of admission to be able to write a call option against your stock. You got to put up 17 grand to buy 100 shares, and then you can write a call option against it. Whereas for the same amount of money, you can buy 5 in-the-money contracts at $3,300 a pop for $16,500, allowing you now to write 5 calls. If, as I said earlier, if you have one call option and you want to make $5,000 a month, this one call option better make you $5 grand a month for you to be self-employed. Or if you can flip this thing 5 times a month, you write it, you buy it back, you write it, you buy it back, you write it. You have to make $1,000 each time to make $5,000 on 100 shares. That's not going to happen. You're not that good. You guys are smart, but you're not that smart.
The market ain't giving you that.
The market's not going to give you that. Here, you're talking about 5 contracts. You need each of these contracts to make you $1,000 a month. Now, if you can flip these every week, you're flipping 5 contracts every week. That means you're flipping 20 contracts a month. You want each contract to give you $250. That's more doable, but it's still not a guarantee. It's more doable. One of the other advantages to doing this strategy here, though, as I'm comparing note to note, is when a stock makes a move from here to here, something like this, even $5 a share, a $5 move from 170 to 175 takes these contracts from 3,300 to 3,800, or from, like I said, to $180, $10 move to 4,300 a piece. You're locking in profits. I am making you sell at the high. How many of you have heard on my channel or on any other channel or talking to friends or relatives or talking to yourself in your own mind, I can't believe I didn't sell that when it was way up there. I bought that stuff for whatever, and it went up, and I didn't take a profit because I got greedy. I thought it would just keep right on going, and I never took the sell. I should have sold that stuff because now it's come back down to here. Well, in this example here, I am forcing you to take the money because it comes back to how much money a month do you need to live on? Is your budget $5,000 a month? I am making you take profits when you zero in on this target. You have to have the cash. You don't pay your bills. If this stock was up $50 a share and you're up $5 grand on this stock, you can't pay your bills if this 17,000 is now worth 22,000 because you're not going to sell it. You're not going to sell your 100 shares of Apple for $50 a share more to take the $5. You're not going to do it because you want to keep writing a contract against it. You have to own the stock to keep writing contracts. We're over here. If the shares went up $50 a share in one shot, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But if this were to happen, these contracts would be worth $8,300 a piece. You'd be up $5,000 a contract times 5 contracts. You're up $25,000 profit. It's not going to happen. But that's the reality. You'll never sell the stock, no matter where it goes. But you will sell these because you can replace these with a new level. And that is why even a $5 move to 175 could force you to want to cash these out and grab the $2,500 gain you just made on this deep in the money contract. Why will it go up $500 in value? Because it went up $5 in book value. It's a 90-10 split. Remember that? 90% of the price of this contract is book value. A $5 move on the stock moves a contract $5. Even if it only moved at 90%, it would move up $450 then. You'd still be up $2,250. You'll lock it in. I'll make you do it. And now you've done it. You've locked it in, and now you're going to buy contracts that are $5 higher for the next deep in the money calls. And you're going to write calls against them all over again. That is what you're going to do. Yes,
I
ma'am.
want you to do another example of the rollovers because the stock is going down in price.
The stock closed at $170 on Friday night. If you went ahead and bought 100 shares on Friday night at the bell, right at the bell, you would pay $17,000 to get these shares. Okay. If you bought the covered calls and used the same amount of money, you would have bought 5 times $3,300 calls, which would run you $16,500 in cash to buy. And you would own 5 June. I thought they were 17s. I could be.
25.
Are they 25s or 17s? 17s. They're 17s. 5 June 17 expiring 2022. 140s. Okay, so they're $30 in the money because the stock's $170. Okay. Stock unbelievably goes down in price. Okay. So before that happened, Monday morning, we wake up, we're at $170 a share, or on Friday night at the bell, you went ahead and not only did you buy the stock, you went ahead and wrote contracts Friday night because you want to get your position in. Fair enough. So you wrote one call here because you have 100 shares, and you wrote maybe February, I think it's a 25, a February 25, 175 call, and you received a proceed of say $3.60. I think it was a $3.60 value. So you brought in $360 in a credit. Okay. So you're betting that the shares will stay under 175 until February the 25th. And if so, you'll earn $0 to $360 depending on how long you hold the contract. Okay. The same person did this over here. Two people did exactly the same overall strategy, but one is a poor man covered call writer, one is a shareholder. So over here, this individual wrote 5 calls. Again, Feb 25 expiry, a 175 exercise price. They're $360 each, $360. Except this person wrote 5 of them. So this person brought in $1,800. I think it is. It's 500. Yeah, $1,800.
Yeah.
So this person brought in $1,800 in cash. This person brought in $360 in cash. Okay, there we are. All right, now Monday afternoon, the stock goes down to $160. Oh God, it goes to 160. All right, that can happen. All right, they're trading at 160. Now what? Okay. Over here, this individual still owns 100 shares. They're worth 100 shares. They're worth $16,000. 100 shares times $160. They're worth $1,600. The call that they wrote right here now, instead of being $5 out of the money, is now $15 out of the money. This contract is probably going to be worth about $1. So this one call The value is going to be $1, and that equals 100 in value. And this person will have made a profit of $260 by buying. If they buy the call back, they'll have made a profit of $260 on the call. They would have lost, of course, 1,000 in value on their stock. That's book value lost. You don't lose if you sell. As long as you don't sell, you haven't locked in the loss. But in value, we're down $1,000 and we're up to 60. So, we're down $740. Okay. Now, this person can turn right around Monday afternoon. I just bought these back, and what are they going to do now? They might write a new call. Instead of they wrote the 175, they might now write a 165, good for 3-4 weeks, and they might bring in another $160. They might do that. A zillion options. All right. They might wait and say, it's down to 160, but tomorrow or Thursday it might go back to 165, 168. I'll write new contracts. Then I'll figure out what to do at that time. But in the meantime, I'm locking in a gain on this contract. I made a $260 profit. I'm a happy camper. Okay, good. Over here, this individual has 5 call options that are now not worth $3,300 each. They're worth $2,300 each. Okay. Because they've gone down $10, and so the value on this package of 5 contracts is $11,500. Okay, and they're down $5,000. Right? They paid $16,500 to get the contracts. They're now only worth $11,500. They're down $5,000, but they're not selling them either because they don't have to sell. They also, however, wrote these contracts. They wrote these contracts for $1,800. Right up here. You see that example there. They're only worth now $1 a piece. They're only worth $500. And so they're going to buy them back for $500. They're going to lock in a $1,300 gain on this deal. So they're down $5,000 on the options, but they cleared $1,300 on these options. So they're still down $3,700, right? So this guy's down $3,700. This guy's down $740. So the leverage has gone against the poor man covered call player. But in the account, in the actual account, in this account, there is a credit of $260 sitting in this guy's account, cash, before he makes his next move. In this guy's account here, there's a credit of $1,300 in cash sitting here. Yeah, they're both down on their stock, on their contracts, on their stock. The stock went down in value. Neither is winning, but this one has $1,300 cash in the account after buying them back, and this guy has $260. Now, both of them can turn around and write brand new contracts. They could just decide, screw this. I wrote the 175s. I bought them back. I'm now going to write 165s because the stock went down $10, and I want to bring in another $3.60 in premium on each contract. So this guy brings in $360 in fresh cash, and now is sitting on $620 cash. That makes sense. $320 for writing this one, $260 profit left over from that one. There's $620 cash in the account, but he's short a call. And here, this guy just brought in $1,800 fresh cash, writing these new calls. And he is sitting on $3,100 in cash. And so the one has $620 credit. This guy has $3,100 credit. He owns 5 calls that are down $5,000. He owns 100 shares that are down $1,000. Okay, that's the reality of this revolving account. It continues to evolve and revolve and turn over. Now, tomorrow, the stock comes up $5 to 165. It doesn't come all the way back to 170 because the markets just aren't interested. But we have a partial recovery on the stocks. Well, good news and bad news. Okay, this guy is $500 less poor because his shares went up $5. These contracts will probably be trading at $4. They'll move up because the stock has moved up. But remember, he's writing 165s and the stock is 165. So it's only book value only time value on this contract. Same over here. He's got time value on his contracts, but his original contracts are $500 richer each as well. He's got 5 of them. So he was down $5,000 yesterday, but he's now only down $2,500 today because his calls went from 11.5 add 2,500 in gains, because we're now at 165 a share, not 160. We're now at $14,000. Still paid 16.5. He's still down 2,500, but he gained 2,500 on these calls. These guys here are also probably going to trade about 410, 420 a piece. So he's down a little bit on these contracts, but neither of these guys care, because the contracts right now are only at the money, and they're all time premium right here. That's all they have is time premium for the next 3 weeks or so. But every day that goes by, we lose 1/15 of the value. There are only 15 trading days in 3 weeks. And so if the shares stay at 165 for a whole week, they don't do anything for a whole week, these contracts will drop from about 420 to about 280, something like that. And in both cases, they're making money. He's making $80 on the second contract. He's now up about 340 on both. This contract is worth about 280. He's already up $80 times 5, 400 on his second batch of 5. He's up 1,700 on the contracts overall, and his value over here is only down 2,500, not 5,000. Okay, yeah.
Are you using the 90-10 rule to help decide if you were buying 3 month, 6 month, year out?
In the money contracts?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm trying to. There's no law saying this must be what you must do. Okay, it is my law. It is the Uncle Bruce suggestion that you go 90-10. You be a hard-nosed, mean buyer, and you shop. You shop until you drop, and you find the contract. But I don't want you to buy a contract when the stock's at 170. I don't want you buying a 160 contract that's a 90-10 contract. It sounds great. It's got the 90-10 ratio. Bruce, why shouldn't I buy this contract? Because you're only $10 in the money. I want you going at least 20% in the money. I want $30, $35, $40 in the money before you buy the call. Now, I'm using this example here. These are 140s, 30 in the money, close enough. It's a 90-10 rule, very good. 130s would be better. 120s would be better than better. Because if you can get 120s against a 170 stock, you have $50 of protection against the stock dropping on you before you can't write options anymore. I have viewers who are buying Goldman Sachs in the money calls to write calls against their Goldman Sachs calls. And when the stock was 400, they were buying 380 calls. This is before I came up with the 90-10 rule. So they were buying 380 calls, and the stock went to 360. Oops, can't write calls against an in-the-money contract. Has to be out of the money contract. Has to be in the money. Can't write against an out-of-money. So there are some viewers of mine who have $360 Goldman Sachs contracts that were 40 in the money, but it was only 10% in the money because it was a $400 stock. They bought 360 calls, and the stock went down to 340. Right now, if you take the 20% in the money rule, a $400 Goldman Sachs stock, you should be buying $320 in the money calls. I hear voices going, Bruce, that's $8,000 a contract, man. I haven't got $8,000 plus premium. That could be like an $8,500 contract. $8,000 in book value, $500 time premium, or up to $800 time premium. That's $8,800 a contract. I don't have that kind of money. Well, then you're not going to write against Goldman. How many of you have enough money to buy Tesla in the money calls? If the stock's trading at $800 a share, I'm telling you to buy calls that are at least 160 in the money to get 640s. That's $16,000 a contract, and then no more than $1,600 of time premium on top of that. We're talking $17,500 a contract. Not a lot of you have a bunch of dough for that kind of thing, and so you don't do Tesla either. I bring you back to Apple with a 170 price. I bring you back to Cisco with a price of $55 a share. I bring you into Microsoft, a $300 stock. You can buy 240s, $6,000 a contract, $6,500 a contract. This is not for, generally speaking, like I said, with Cisco, it's a $55 stock, so about $1,200 a contract to $1,500 a contract. Those are very affordable. You can buy multiples of those. You can buy 2, 4, 6, 10 of them. Fantastic. You're not going to make $3 a contract though if you buy 10 Ciscos. You're not going to make $3 in depreciation in 2 weeks. They don't trade for that kind of money. It's only a $55 stock, but it's all relative. And so to try this as an experiment to see if you're cut out for it and if it works for you, whether you're watching me live now or whether you're watching me on a rerun later, you may decide, I'm going to buy one of those Cisco calls that are deep in the money. I'm going to buy like a $40 Cisco. It's like 14, 15 in the money. I'm going to buy a 42 Cisco, a $45 Cisco. If I can buy one with a 90-10 rule so that 90% of what I pay for that contract is book value and only 10% or less of that contract is time value, I'm going to try what Bruce says. I'm going to buy a Cisco contract good for June, July, August, September, October, way out there, like at least 5-6 months or longer out. I'm going to buy one only. It's going to run me less than $1,500. And I'm going to now write contracts that have maybe 3 or 4 weeks of life left in them. And all I want to do is buy that contract back for half of what I sell it for. Time depreciation is what I'm after. So if it has 30 days to live, a month to live when I write the short-term call, and I can get $1.50 for it, I'm going to put in the stink bid to buy it back at 76 cents. Let's see if I can make that happen. Now, it might be that in 2 days, the stock drops $1.50 and the contract goes down to 76 cents right away. You buy it back and you're locked in. Now you've made your 75-cent profit. And you're going, okay, I've done that. Now I'm going to write another 1 month out contract, but I want to bring in about $1.50 or $1.20, whatever the range is. But I can't write the contract I wrote before because it's gone down in value because the stock is backed off. So I'm going to look at a contract that's a little lower in price, but a month out where I can get that premium. And I'm going to look for time premium out of the money contract. I want to lock in another 75 cents and see how long this one takes me. Now, this might take you the whole 3 weeks. It might take 3 or 4 weeks to get it. It might take 2 weeks to get it. All depends how the stock fluctuates back and forth. But if the shares go up, instead of going down right away, they stay where they are, and your contract slowly goes from 150 to 140 to 135 to 130 to 125, and it's just slowly shrinking. You're a happy camper. You buy it back, you buy it back. On the other hand, if it's 150, this is what you got for that contract, and the stock was at 55 when you did it, and the stock goes to $60 and the call goes up to maybe 3.25, whatever it is, you're sitting there going, wait a minute, I'm up 500 on that contract I bought, that deep in the money call option he made me buy, that 90-10 thing, that thing's up $500. My call that I wrote is going to cost me $120 more to buy back because a little bit of time has passed, but it's gone up in value. The stock's gone up in value. I'm doing a rollover. I'm going to buy back that call and lose money. I'm going to sell this call and lock in $500. And I'm going to turn around and I'm going to buy a new in-the-money contract that's $5 higher for 6 months out or longer. And I'm going to write a new call contract at a higher strike price for a month out all over again. I'm going to take a new position on this. And I'm going to do what he's talked about and see if this works for me. If this can work for me over the next 2 or 3 months, I get to now do the old, well, if I'd had 10 of them, I would have made this much money. If I had 15 of them, I could have made that much money. Now you'll understand just how you are forcing yourself to sell a money-making contract, and you can't sit there and go, oh, I'm going to wait for this to go to the moon, like a GameStop philosophy. Oh, well, it's a $50 stock. Cisco's going to $500 a share next week. It's not going to happen. Cisco's not going to $500 a share. If Cisco goes up $2, $3 a week, it's a good week. For you who have bought a 6-month, 8-month long contract in the money and it goes up $3, $4 a contract and you've only lost $1 on a call that you've written, you might sit there and go, I'm taking this flip because in my mind, I need to make $5,000 a month to make a go of it. I happen to have $30,000 I can play with, $20,000, $5,000, $8,000, $17,000, $200,000. I have money I can play with. I'm trying just a $1,500 deal here. And with $1,500, I just made $300 net profit on this one flip on 1,500 in a week. You know what? If I'd had with a $300 profit, I had 20 of these, $30,000 in the contract, I would have made $6,000. There's the month, man. There's more than the month on just that turnaround. I see what he's talking about. Yes, ma'am.
Couple of things. So when you're looking for stock to do one of these poor man covered calls on,
Yeah.
what is the other criteria? Are you looking for volatility? Are you looking for consistent volumes? Are you looking for he's saying seasonality changes? So
Yeah.
we know that every quarter before the financials come
earnings.
out, the earnings go
That
up.
could be. That could be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there anything else specific you can
Yeah.
point to? And someone is saying, Eliza is saying, sorry for the basic question, but what is a stink bid? She's heard you say this on your dailies and just wants to know what a stink bid is.
I'll answer that one first. A stink bid is really simple. Let's suppose you wrote a call option for $2.50. Okay? Doesn't matter how long it's good for. And you want to buy it back. And in your mind, you're saying to yourself, if I can buy this back for at least a $1 gain, I'm happy. I've made $100 on this call. I've written 10 of them. I get 10 of them back for $1 or less, lower. I made $1,000 profit. There are days where stocks will fluctuate in minute-to-minute moments unexpectedly. It could well be like something like Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed, is going to have a news conference today, and the rumor is he's going to talk about interest rates, and a stock market can drop quickly just on fear that, oh, what's he going to say? One guy says, I think he's going to say this, and the market drops a bunch of points and then comes back 10 minutes later because some guy's just guessing. You've written a call option at, say, $2.50 a contract, and you're hoping to buy it back for $1.50 or less. And it's trading right now at $1.90 to $2.10. So you're up on it a little bit. You're up like, 40, 50, 60 cents. But if it can just drop a little more, boy, wouldn't that be great? But the market isn't anywhere near where you want it to be. It's trading at around $1.95 to $2. You want to pay $1.50 for it. You put in a stink bid. And the stink bid might be good for the day, for the whole day, where you say to your broker, buy whatever number of call contracts that you want to buy. So buy to close, because you're trying to close out your contract position. You've opened by selling. Now you're closing by buying them back. Buy to close 10 calls of whatever the stock, exercise value, the exercise price, strike price of your contract, 151. So you're sitting there going, I'm prepared to pay $1.51 for this stock, even though this contract, this 151 for this contract, even though it's trading at around $2 right now, I'm putting in a stink bid. This bid is a stinker. It's really cheap. It's kind of bid that people go, oh, you're never going to get it. That's just a stink bid. It's like going to a house, an open house, and the guy's asking $450,000 for the house, and you put in an offer in for $305,000. The realtor's going to go, what are you doing? You're offering the guy $305,000 for this house. He's asking $450,000. That's called a stink bid. All right, it's an insult. No one knows it's you on the markets. Your name isn't flashed about. Guess who's bidding 151? No one's gonna. It's just in the computer. You put in a buy order at 151. Good for the day. The day rolls along, and sure enough, half an hour later, the Russian troops are moving outside of the Ukraine border, and the Dow drops 150 points, and your stock drops a couple of bucks just in sympathy with the market, and your contracts go down, 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 and you get hit. You get your contract back. You bought it at 151, and it might trade at 150, 145, 138 within seconds of you getting yours. But it might not. It might only reach 151 or 150 and then go right back to 175 when people go, oh, the Russian troops are just doing exercises, and the stocks go back up again. And for like a brief moment in time, your stock went, and your contracts went, and you got the buy-in, you got the buy. That's a stink bid. Congratulations. So I tell everybody, every day, if you've written contracts on anything, And you're sitting there going, well, if the stock can drop $3-4 a share, or if in the next 2 weeks they don't move at all, the time will give me the win. But sometimes I can make my score. I can make my money on this trade just on a dip, a little intraday dip. That's called a stink bid opportunity for you. So you're just going to go there. I wrote them at 250. I'm going to put in a bid at 126, not 125, 126. Or I want to buy them around $1, $1 stink bid. 1 penny ahead of a nice round number is what you're doing. All right. You never want to buy it at $1. You buy it at $1. You never buy it at 105. You put it in order to buy at 106. You never want to buy at 150. You're putting it in at 151. Even if the market is $190 to $2 right now, $190 to $2, and you want to buy it at 190, you put in a stink bid at 191. You're always the highest priced buyer, the highest priced buyer, the best buyer, 1 penny ahead of all the others who like those nice round numbers. You'll drive them crazy because you're in line. You butted in. You're butting in. So either you're butting in at the current market price, or you're a stink bidder down below the highest bidder. There's a 190 bidder, but you're a 186, or you're a 181 stink buyer, or you're a 176 stink buyer, a 156 stink buyer. You're just going for a dip. You give me a dip. You're coming down here. I'm a buyer. You're not coming down here. I will wait until tomorrow because I have time on my side as an option writer. These contracts will expire. The heck with you guys. I'm not paying top dollar. That's a stink bid.
Right.
What stocks to pick to do this strategy for?
And is it the same for every stock over like $20? Is it, how about ETFs, VanEck vectors, ARC funds? Are you using pretty well the same criteria no matter what it is?
Yes, you can do the same thing with ETFs, where you buy deep in the money calls on an ETF, like an ARC fund or VanEck vectors. You can do it with any stock you want, any price the stock is. I suggest the stocks, the higher the better, because there's more movement, dollar movement in a contract on a higher priced stock. This is why I mentioned Apple. I'll mention Facebook, Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, to move $10 in a day is a nothing burger. I mean, it's a 345 stock. The stock in the last 6 months has been 340, 330 something to 420. It's moved like $80. You have to be in the money nicely, and then you can score some nice price action. And at the end of the day, you ask yourself, and I come back to you, how much money a month do you want to make doing this? Do you want to replace your day job? How much money do you make gross and net at your day job? If you're getting paid $90,000 a year, which is $7,500 a month, before tax, after tax, it might be $5,000 a month with all the deductions you've got, all the taxes that are taken off the top. With this game that I'm talking about, this is all capital gains. So you're going to pay a capital gains tax rate on this money you're making, not a personal income tax rate. Some of the states that some of you Americans live in, just for the American viewers here, you don't have state capital gains taxes. You don't have any of that. And so you don't need to make $7,500 gross profits to clear $5,000. You might only need to do $6,000 in capital gains and only pay the federal taxes to clear $5,000. All of a sudden, that takes $1,500 of the pressure off of how much money your account has to make every month. Now, if you're dealing with a Goldman Sachs stock and it goes from 365 to 355 in a day, and you've written a 370 call option against a 365 trading price, and the stock drops $10, the call might go down $4, $5, or $6. Well, if you've written 5 contracts, they go down $5 each. It's $500 a contract. There's $2,500 in profits that you could lock in by buying back those calls. Conversely, if you purchased calls already to make the poor man trade, if your call option is $40 in the money, $50 in the money, and the stock goes up $20 this week, you've got a $20 gain on 5 call options. Each call option is $2,000 more valuable this week than last week. And I'm telling you, sell the damn thing and roll into higher priced calls. I'm making you take the profit of $2,000 a contract times 5. That's $10,000 in profits on those in the money calls. and I'm making you take a loss on these calls over here to now roll into new contracts, obviously. So you've made 10 grand, lost 4, cleared 6, and now you're writing new contracts at new levels. There's your $6,000 for the month. You don't have to do, you could theoretically just not do any more trades. You could just sell off, buy back these calls you wrote, sell off those calls you had, and do this for the next month. I just made 6 grand. I don't have to do anything for the next month. I got my bills paid. But that's not how you guys operate. And that's not the way I would operate either. I would just keep right on rolling along, but constantly adjusting my portfolio to be within the range of the stock. Okay. We wanted to talk about what stocks to buy, though. Ford, if you can. Goldman, great. If not, look at Apple. I mean, the best part about Apple, one of the great things about buying Apple stock is there's always news about Apple. Always. They have their events. They have their new releases. They have their quarterlies. Tim Cook is talking to the graduating class at Princeton, or there's something always going on with Apple. Always going. Analysts every week, new projections, new this, new that. So you're not going to be bored being an Apple shareholder and being a poor man covered call writer. You're not going to be sleeping at the switch going, oh, this is a boring stock. Nothing ever happens. No. Things happen all the time with Apple. This week was unbelievably active, a crazy week. Apart from the market being crazy, Apple did the big favor to all of us. Apple did the big one. They delivered the goods. Now, it's possible that the shares may never hit 175, 180 ever. They might just stay here, and the next quarter they don't deliver on the quarter we thought they were going to deliver on. Well, it doesn't matter. You're an option writer. You're constantly within the market parameters. You're always going to be on top of the trading patterns, and you're going to build capital to get more of these contracts in your hands. And if you can buy Apple contracts for $300 to $3,500 a piece, and you've got $25,000 that you're able to throw at this, you can throw 6, 7 contracts together, maybe 8, and 8 contracts that make you, $2 in a week. That's $1,600. That's $6,400 a month right there. I mean, there's the possibilities of bringing out 5 a month is very high, but you got to pay attention. You can't just fall asleep at the switch. Hang out with your buddy here during the market hours and watch the market in the meantime. But there you go, leverage. How are we doing?
Volatility.
Yeah.
One of the things that you look for.
Yeah.
But volatility can also be bad.
Yes.
Stock that can go up that fast can go down that fast.
Yes, that's true. And
pay attention.
And the more volatility some stocks have, the higher the time value on top of an option, which brings it out of the range of being able to play with. Mm-hmm. You don't want to do an 80-20 game where you buy a contract that's 80% book value and 20% time value, because now you are competing against the shrinkage of time value to make money overall. The difference, as I've said before, about being a shareholder or being a contract player, huge difference. A shareholder doesn't care about the fluctuation of the stock as much as a contract holder does. These people pay attention to up and down movements on their stock a lot. And an upward move on a stock can really enhance a payoff. You could have a scenario where you have 20 contracts of a stock, and then the stocks, the stock has a really good run for whatever the cause, and stock moves up $4, and 3 of that is net in your pocket, times 40 contracts, 12 grand. I mean, it's more than a month of take-home pay. It can be huge, and which would allow you then to theoretically, if you scored a $12,000 gain on one transaction, and you put 5 aside for this month's bills, you got 7 left over. You're buying more contracts. You're increasing your leverage now, because that's the point of it. You want to get away from having just 1 or 2 Apple contracts. You want to have 10 or 20. Get to 20 to 30. You get to 50 Apple contracts that you can start writing. You see a $2 dip in a contract in one day. That's 10 grand today. Hey, not a bad move. If you've had a good, month this month, and you've made $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, and you didn't reinvest it all into the marketplace, you kept a certain amount back for taxes and bills, you might decide, I'm taking a month off and we're going for a European holiday, and I'm not going to play the market when I'm on holiday. I don't want to do it. I want a pure break. Well, you've afforded yourself the ability to do that. because you've generated 30 grand in, kept 10 for tax, 20 left over, 5, 10 for the vacation and bills. You're covered, and you come back home, you're back to work. You've sold everything off. You've gone completely flat. You sold the calls, the deep in the money calls. You bought back the calls that were left over. It's all cash in your account, and you're on the road. And then when you come back, you reposition yourself based on where the market is. And now you see where the market has been while you've been away, and you reposition yourself. Whereas as a shareholder over here, you're always a shareholder. You're constantly looking at your phone. How's it doing? How's it doing? How's it doing? Even if you don't have an option against it, you're wondering, how's my stock doing? How's my stock doing? Oh, so-and-so invaded such and such, or China's doing this with Taiwan, or this. My stock's down 10% today. Oh, shoot. I wanted to go see the Roman Colosseum today. Now I'm all stressed out. This is where this comes in handy as well. You're much more liquid.
Right.
So I would look at the Dow 30 stocks as the candidates for poor man covered call strategies. Those would be the gross candidates, right? Those 30 is where I would start with. Why? Because they are the largest companies in America, the most solid companies in America. They have the highest capitalization values. They have dividends that they pay, which means there's limited downside. Yes, IBM can go up and down in value, but IBM won't go down in value where the yield is 9%. That's not going to happen with IBM. IBM is yielding now over 4% on your money. This is why when the markets have a lousy day, we're down 800 points, IBM's done $1.20. It's just not giving up ground, because anyone who buys this stuff is getting almost 5% return on the dividend alone. And IBM's management has a set plan, and that is grow the company and increase the dividend, which protects the downside of the stock. Cisco is 2.8% yield on the stock. They could bump their dividend by 20% tomorrow. They have cash in that bank always to do it. So if the Fed wants to raise rates, watch Apple, Cisco, IBM, and all kinds of other dividend payers raise their dividends to overmatch the Fed. They'll stay ahead of the Fed. The Fed wants to go to a 3% 10-year note. These stocks will pay now 4% yield. The Fed wants to go to 4.5%. These stocks will pay 5.5%, 6%. This is historically what these companies do, and they can do it. Apple is using $90 billion a year in cash to buy back its stock rather than give you dividends on it. That's how rich they are, cash rich. They can raise these dividends. That gives you downside protection. Keeping in mind also, if you're using Apple as your poor man covered call strategy, you are buying options on stock that the company is buying back in the market every day. That's why Apple doesn't lead the market down 15 days in a row. That's why ARK Investments doesn't crash if it holds Apple, but she doesn't. She's a disruptor purchaser, which is fine for her. Her game plan is her game plan. It's okay with me. You can play the ETF game if you want. You want to buy deep in the money calls on ETF stocks that are against, that are gambling on disruptor stocks or whatever segment you want to be into. More power to you. There's obviously not as much action on ETFs, which might be what you're looking for. You're looking to write options on stock that doesn't have a wild up and down swing every day to it. More power to you on that too. All right.
They're asking how much time a day do you have to spend monitoring a poor man covered call?
Okay. Well.
Or I suppose any options.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll put it to you this way. I was thinking about this earlier today when I was wandering the halls here about what to talk to you about. And I thought about this, and I came up with the idea that if you're going to make $5,000 a month as a minimum to be a non-working person and be a full-time portfolio manager through poor man covered call strategies or any option strategies, I thought about it this way. You're working 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. The market is open at 9:30 Eastern time in the morning. It closes at 4 in the afternoon. And so it's a full 8-hour day is what you're, theoretically committing to do. You'll think about it before and after the market because that's the way you are. It's the way I am, obviously. But let's just say you're working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week average. If you're making $1,200 odd a week, which is about $5,000 a month, $1,250 a week, that's $5,000 a month. Divided by 40 hours, you're making $30 an hour. That's what you're saying to yourself, I have to make $30 an hour doing this on average to make this pay. You got to ask yourself, how many hours of your time is it worth to get $30 an hour? If you only want to work 4 hours a day, you're going to have to be very attentive to your account by having alerts. Now, look, a lot of you out there have hobbies and wishes and desires. Some of you want to go fishing. Some of you want to go golfing. Some of you just want to go cycling. Others just want to go take a walk. Whatever your passions are and how intense you want to be into the deal, you just want to watch me for an hour in the morning to get my rant and watch half an hour of the opening trade, and then you want to go away for a while. It's all good. As long as you have one of these devices right over here, I happen to have one lying around here. I have it with me all the time. You have one of these devices in your hands, you're always able to trade the market and be alerted on the market. So depending on what platform you're using to do this poor man covered call trading or any options trading, you may well have alerts built into your phone that tell you if there's a 5% move on your stock or on the market, or if the Dow moves more than, you will get the bloop, bloop alert on your phone. Now, it might well be that you're golfing and you can't have that thing doing that in the middle of a backswing when your buddy is backswinging on a par 4. So you're going to have to watch your phone after every hole. You pick up your phone, just make sure everything's okay and put it down and keep playing golf. Fair enough. Others of you going for just a walk in the neighborhood, you've got your phone with you wherever you need it. If it goes bloop, you're going to look at your phone and go, oh, my stock is up $4. I'm in a position to do this rollover. I can sell these poor man, I can buy these poor man covered calls back and sell these contracts I've had, lock in a big fat gain. You might just sit down on a park bench and just sit there and type away your orders and work for 15 minutes and get your buys and sells done and your new positions made, and then you go back for a walk. And that's how it works for you. It's all up to your mental tolerance. What can you tolerate? How much action can you handle? Because most of you, and I think almost all of you, do not have an investment advisor whose job it is to watch this for you. You guys are on your own. I'm talking about you guys doing transactions here where you could theoretically be self-employed. And I haven't told any of you need $100,000 to do this. I've told you guys 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand. If you've got $400,000 or $500,000 lying around and you want to do this for a while, you could theoretically hire someone to do this for you. In other words, a specialist in this area. Good luck finding them, because guys like me don't exist anymore. We're too old. We aren't hireable. Nobody at Chase Manhattan is calling me up saying, hey, Mr. Bruce, Uncle Bruce, we'd love to have you be here and handle 500 accounts or 300 accounts because you at 66 are just the guy we're looking for. No. What we're looking for are these 30-year-old recent university graduates who will do as we tell them to do and flog the house accounts we want them to flog and try to sell you on the idea that making 2 to 4 to 5% a year is a great return on your money. Those are the guys we want, because we want to make the 20% gross profit on your money. We'll give you your 3-4% return, but we're going to leverage your money into the funds that we're running in New York, where we make the bucks, and we'll give you your paltry little return. Thank you very much. Well, you're not gonna find it. So you have to do it on your own. You're on your own. And the good news is that these platforms are very smart. They're very good. Some of them are incredibly intuitive. And again, depending on which of these platforms you use, you have to do your homework. It'll work out. Now, look, if you can make $3,000 a month, 5, 7, 10, 15,000 a month, do you think it's worth your time to spend, first of all, a little bit of money watching me? Whether you're watching on my website, this class costs you so much money. Whether you're a gold member of my channel, is it worth your while? You're investing in yourself. Whether you're spending more of your quality time on other YouTubers, or you're doing Google searches, and or you're doing your homework with regards to these platforms. You're taking a look at the various platforms. You're looking up their websites, and a number of these platforms do have videos that you can watch on how to do this stuff.
And practices.
And then they have practice accounts, and you can do these practice sessions with pretend money. there's an investment of your time that's probably very well worth your time. You ultimately want to make 60,000 a year, 100,000 a year or more doing this as a full-time gig. How much are you prepared to put into it? I'm trying to get you to theoretically do something that realistically would normally take a college career to do, a college degree to do. I'm giving you a shortcut to not go to school full time for 4 years with student loans. And so, a business course that you would take to learn a third of what I'm talking about, a tenth of what I'm talking about, you're going to pay $50,000 a year with room and board and overhead and tuition for 4 to 6 years. You got that kind of money? You don't need that kind of money to learn what we're talking about here. But a little investment of your time is a good idea. A little bit of money, yeah, and then the rewards are yours. And man, I love it when I'm on the air on my YouTube channel when I see your comments and you guys are telling me, I just bought back 5 calls that I sold this morning for $8. I just bought them back for $4. I just made $400 times 5. I just made $2,000 because of you, Uncle Bruce, telling me how this works. Man, is this paying me or what? I couldn't be more happier because you guys are very generous tippers when you do that well. And that's how Jen and I keep it going.
We're just running on endorphins. The people are just so nice.
And we're just, we love it. We absolutely love it. And to have you here with us live on this class or here on this class on my website, fabulous. It's absolutely a wonderful thing. The world is your oyster. Keep in mind, in the option market, there are professionals out there in the high rises in Manhattan. They're handling multi-million-dollar option transactions all day long, multiple trades every day, all the time. I'm trying to get you guys to do small, little bit of investing here with your own hard-earned money in your own way without making it too complicated. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible so that's easy for you to handle. And it is theory, and it is theoretically possible. You can go for a hike as long as you have internet. You can go golfing. You can go sailing. You can go fishing. You can do whatever you want with your time and actually keep an eye on this stuff and stay on top of it during the day. Absolutely.
And sleep at nights.
Yeah, and go on vacation to Hawaii, which one of our viewers did. They went on vacation to Hawaii and they were talking to us, telling us, just did this trade. I just wrote this contract earlier today, bought it back. I made $1,000 on these contracts. I made $500 on those. I made $200 on those. Yeah. All through the 3-week holiday.
In the lineup at Starbucks.
The family of 5, I think it was a family of 5 or 6, he made more money trading and writing options than the entire cost of the holiday while in Hawaii. And he's asking himself, why do we work? Why aren't we always on holiday all the time? We could be doing this full time. And I can trade on my phone in a Starbucks lineup, free internet. I mean, come on. Anyway, there you go. Yes, ma'am.
Eliza says it's completely over her head, but you're going to get it. You are going to get it.
Yes.
Go over the tape again and you'll get used to the calls and the puts and the buys and the sells and the opens and the closes.
That's right. I started doing these live presentations on my channel in January of 2021. And in the first 4 months, a vast majority of my viewers had no idea what I was talking about or had an inkling and were learning more. And then as the time went by, my viewers began to react to me and say, I get it now. I now get this. This makes sense now. The way you said this way, now I know what you're talking about. Now I'm in. I got it. So many of you are watching my lessons, and you come back to me on the live show and go, I just watched lesson number so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so in the last week. It all works now. Now it makes sense. So when you say that, you mean this. And when you see that, you mean this. Oh, Bruce, I'm so glad I stuck around. And that's the trick of it. You've just got to keep coming back and coming back.
Just put your toes in the water.
Put your toe in the water.
Try one of those little, pretend accounts.
Yeah.
And just get used to
The terminology,
process.
the process. Hang around with us on the live shows. You'll read the comments from folks who are doing these trades, and you'll realize what they're saying. You'll realize, oh, he sold a call option for 620 and he bought it back for 280. Oh, that's what happened. And then you're looking at the quote of the stock while you're reading these comments. You go, oh yeah, you wrote the contract when the stock was here, and now the stock is here, and he bought it back. Ah, yeah.
Well, and you're
Oh,
going,
that's how much
That's
you made.
what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking of. That, yeah.
Right, exactly. It's just
And they
osmosis.
talk
You
and
just
help
got to
each
get.
other all the time.
You got to get
It's great.
exposed to it, and you
Yeah.
got to get into it. You hang around, go into a sports bar, and listen to people talk about cricket for an hour or two or three in the UK or wherever, and you'll start understanding what cricket is. You hang out at a sports bar in Boston where the Boston Red Sox fans are, and you'll start to understand the Red Sox philosophy. Might take you a couple of days, a couple of weeks. You hang around our little chat room on our live shows, and you come to these classes, and you're going to go, oh, I get it. I understand what they're doing here. Now it's making sense. It's nothing personal. It's just money. That's all it is. It's just money, nothing personal. Do we say goodbye now?
I think so.
I think we say goodbye now. Thank you all for attending this class and all of your support of our channel and of this website. We really appreciate it. We'll keep classes coming out from time to time. Keep your eyes peeled for the next one, and have yourselves a wonderful day out there wherever you are. And we'll keep you posted when we get the next class organized. And have a good one. Bye for now.